Self-driving cars and insurance, who will bear the liability? Self-driving cars and insurance, who will bear the liability? As self-driving cars become more common on our roads, the question of who bears the liability in case of accidents becomes more complex. In traditional driving, it is generally the driver who is at fault in case of accidents. However, with self-driving cars, the lines become blurred since there is no driver in the traditional sense. In this article, we will explore the different liability scenarios that could arise with self-driving cars, and who would bear the responsibility in each. Self-driving cars and liability. One thing that is clear at this point is that self-driving cars will not eliminate the need for liability insurance. Even though self-driving cars have the potential to drastically reduce the number of accidents on our roads, they cannot eliminate the risk of accidents altogether. There will still be some accidents that occur due to software errors, hardware glitches, or unforeseen circumstances on the road. Therefore, it is vital to understand who will bear the cost of such accidents. In a traditional driving scenario, the driver's liability insurance covers the costs of damage to property or injury to people resulting from the driver's actions. However, with self-driving cars, the question of liability becomes more complex since there is no driver in the traditional sense. Self-driving cars operate on complex algorithms that process data from various sensors to make driving decisions. Therefore, there are several possible scenarios in which liability could arise. Scenario 1: the self-driving car malfunctions and causes an accident. In this case, the manufacturer or the software developer could be held liable for the damages. The software developer would be responsible for the coding errors that led to the malfunction, while the manufacturer would be liable for any defects in the hardware. Scenario 2: the self-driving car crashes due to road conditions, such as a pothole or poor weather conditions. In this case, the liability would fall on the government agency responsible for maintaining the road. However, this is a tricky scenario since weather conditions can change rapidly, and it would be challenging to determine who is at fault. Scenario 3: the self-driving car gets involved in an accident due to a driver's error in another vehicle. In this case, liability would be on the driver of the other vehicle. Scenario 4: the self-driving car crashes due to situations where decisions have to be made that impact different people. For instance, the car may have to decide between crashing into a pedestrian or colliding with another vehicle. Deciding who would be held responsible in this scenario would be challenging since it raises fundamental moral and ethical questions. It is evident from the above scenarios that self-driving cars raise complex liability issues that are difficult to resolve. For instance, in traditional driving scenarios, the driver is responsible for making decisions on the road. However, with self-driving cars, the algorithms programmed into the car determine the decisions that the car makes. Therefore, if the self-driving car crashes due to an algorithm's error, it would be challenging to determine who should be held responsible. The role of insurers in self-driving cars. The insurance industry will have a critical role to play in the self-driving car revolution. Insurance companies will need to adjust their policies to reflect the new risks and liability scenarios at self-driving cars pose. Currently, most car insurance policies are based on the driver's liability. However, with self-driving cars, it is not clear who bears the responsibility in case of accident. Therefore, insurers will need to develop new policies that reflect the changing nature of driving. Insurance companies will need to work closely with self-driving car manufacturers to ensure that they have appropriate liability coverage. Manufacturers will need to develop new policies that reflect the changing nature of driving and ensure that they have adequate liability insurance to cover potential damages in case of accidents. Therefore, insurers will have to develop customized policies that cover these new risks. Another issue that insurers need to consider is how to price their policies for self-driving cars. Self-driving cars have the potential to reduce the number of accidents on our roads, which could result in lower insurance premiums. However, manufacturers may argue that their self-driving cars are safer than traditional cars and, therefore, should have lower premiums. The challenge here would be in determining how much reduction in premiums is appropriate. The role of governments in self-driving cars. Governments will also have a crucial role to play in developing policies that address the various liability issues raised by self-driving cars. One possible policy that governments could consider is requiring self-driving cars to take out liability insurance policies for any accidents that occur while the car is in autonomous mode. This policy would ensure that manufacturers take responsibility for any accidents that their self-driving cars cause. Moreover, it would make it clear who is liable in case of accidents. However, this policy has its challenges since self-driving cars can operate in both autonomous and manual modes. Therefore, it would be challenging to determine who is liable in case of accidents that occur while the car is in manual mode. Another policy that governments could consider is developing a no-fault insurance system for accidents that occurred due to self-driving cars. In this system, all parties involved in the accident would be compensated, regardless of who caused the accident. This policy has the advantage of being straightforward since it does not require determining liability. However, this policy could result in higher premiums for self-driving car owners, as they would be responsible for both their own accidents and those caused by other drivers. As technology continues to advance, self-driving cars are becoming more commonplace on our roads. However, with this new technology comes a host of complex liability issues that need to be addressed. It is clear that self-driving cars will not eliminate the need for liability insurance, and there will still be accidents that occur due to unforeseen circumstances. In traditional driving scenarios, the driver is responsible for making decisions on the road. However, for self-driving cars, algorithms programmed into the car determine the decisions that the car makes. Therefore, if a self-driving car crashes due to a coding error, it would be challenging to determine who should be held responsible. This uncertainty highlights the importance of developing policies that address the liability issues surrounding self-driving cars. Insurers also play a crucial role in the self-driving car revolution since they need to adjust their policies to reflect new risks and liability scenarios that arise. Currently, most car insurance policies are based on the driver's liability, but with self-driving cars, it is not clear who is responsible for accidents. Therefore, insurers must develop new policies that reflect the changing nature of driving and ensure that manufacturers have adequate liability coverage. Governments also have a significant role to play in developing policies that address liability issues raised by self-driving cars. They will need to work with insurers, manufacturers, and other stakeholders to develop policies that ensure that any accidents resulting from self-driving cars are handled fairly and appropriately. As self-driving cars continue to evolve, liability issues will become more complex. However, it is essential to note that this new technology has the potential to revolutionize transportation and significantly reduce the number of accidents on our roads. With proper policies in place, we can fully realize the benefits of self-driving cars while protecting the public and ensuring that accidents are handled fairly and appropriately. One critical aspect that all stakeholders must consider is transparency. As self-driving technology advances, government agencies, insurers, and manufacturers must be transparent about their practice. S and policies. In addition to transparency, stakeholders must also prioritize safety and ethical considerations. From a moral point of view, self-driving cars must prioritize the safety of the public and ensure their passengers are never in harm's way. Furthermore, self-driving car manufacturers must ensure that their self-driving cars do not prioritize the safety of passengers over people on the road. Doing so would raise ethical questions about the role of technology in society and the value of human life. Finally, it is crucial to recognize that self-driving cars are not a panacea for all transportation problems. While they have the potential to reduce the number of accidents, they also have some limitations.